Welcome to the Power Gamer Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Dawson, joined as always by fellow host Johnny Paulus. Johnny, welcome in this week of May the 8th. How are you, sir?
Doing good. Doing good. Had a freaking busy weekend. Two gigs, and the Saturday one was a 4-hour one. So I'm a little beat, but thankfully I got a nice big nap today, so I'm all caught up.
You've had a lot of nice napping.
Indeed.
I would say. Yeah, so the Donk Bar is back open. We missed that because car service and movies. We'll get more into the latter later.
Mm-hmm.
Your gig on Friday I went to, and of course, upon completion, Johnny was ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. He said, Mike, come hang. I'm getting Taco Bell. And
Andor.
We're gonna plow through our second run of Andor some more. And we're hanging out, chit-chatting. Johnny's eating his tacos. Get through the first episode. Episode 2 comes in. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, man, Johnny's awfully quiet over there. And I turned, and his face is just like awkwardly hanging from his body like a limp noodle. And he's just... I'll go, oh. That'll do it. So I looked over and I said, hey, Johnny. Johnny Paulus. So then I get up and I walk behind the couch and I go, I know what'll wake him up. Because I don't want to whack someone and cause them to, flail and have an unpleasant awakening.
Mm-hmm.
I said, but I am going to be a dick. So I get out my phone and fire up a Smash Mouth All-Star on my phone. And I just plop it pretty much on full blast right down next to his face.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, he didn't blink. He didn't move. He's got Smash Mouth blaring. I'm like, he's done. I'm out. So I cleaned the place up and saw myself out and went the fuck home.
Thank you again for that, for cleaning up. I appreciate it.
Johnny partied too hardy. Or just had a really long day and probably needed to go to bed.
Yeah. Yeah, probably that. But I mean, yeah, the food coma didn't help.
No, you slayed some Taco Bell and then passed the fuck out. I skipped the Taco Bell and I stayed awake till 3:30. So it was a long night for me. Johnny, some pressing things to take care of real quick.
Okay.
We have mentioned before with much excitement that this week is the week that we get a new Zelda game. Even if it's not the most excited I've ever been for a new Zelda game, it's still a new Zelda game.
I'm pretty hyped.
In the course of my life, I have been alive for all but one Zelda release. Johnny, you've been alive for all of them because you're an old bastard. So they're pretty monumentous occasions when they happen. Was that a word? Anyway, momentous. I think that's the word. There we go. I made up the other one. So looking back, we all have our favorites. However, this, ladies and gentlemen, is an impromptu pick 3.
Okay.
That's right. Johnny doesn't know about this. I gave him no time to prepare. It is an impromptu pick 3.
Okay.
And you're going to love this one. Pick 3. Best Zelda games of all time in order. I'll go first. Number 1. The Legend of Zelda. Ocarina of Time for the N64. Ocarina of Time is a game that basically changed the complete paradigm of what a video game could be. And going back and looking at that, running on that clunky ass old N64 and what it was able to pull off with that in that period of time is amazing And that's besides the point that it's a really fucking good game. So Ocarina of Time is number 1 on my list for my pick 3 best Zelda games of all time. Now, Johnny, you've made it clear what yours is before many times, and I'm curious to see if that is either changed or if you're going to let the new members of our audience know what your favorite Zelda game of all time is. And I think yours is probably, I think we each have, like, if there's a split of opinion, that we each have half of that opinion of what the best one is. But it's sort of, in the past, it's always been a meeting of new and old when we discuss this. So without further ado, you look deep in thought here. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, I really am. It's between two.
So in the past,
Mhm.
and Johnny might be changing his mind here, ladies and gentlemen. I hear him scratching his beard
Yeah.
and thinking hard. Without blinking, I've seen this man say Breath of the Wild is the best Zelda game, which is not a bad selection by any measure, but have you given that second thought now that I'm putting you on the spot?
I think Breath of the Wild is the best open world game ever made.
Go on. We've discussed this before.
I think Breath of the Wild is the best open world game of all time. I think the best Zelda game is Link to the Past.
Link to the Past is a very solid selection.
Like, of the Zelda games that I've gone back and just played front to back again for nostalgic, because it's fun, because I enjoy the story, because the combat's great, because it's just a plain fun game to play, Link to the Past is at the top of the heap. I've gone back and played it many, 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 many times. Don't think it was quite the trailblazer that, Ocarina of Time was, or even Skyward Sword or Breath of the Wild, but I think the basic premise of what the story of a Zelda game could be and all of the things that you could do within it. I mean, Link to the Past is really, really strong. I think that's where I'm going to go. I think I'm going to go Link to the Past.
Yeah, so Link to the Past is and this is weird. You have to understand my meaning between the two words. I think that Ocarina of Time is the best Zelda game of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I think A Link to the Past, did I mix that up? Ocarina of Time is the best of all time. But A Link to the Past is my favorite, my personal favorite.
Mm-hmm.
That when I think of Zelda, that's one of the first 2 games that I think of in that series from my childhood. That being said, my selection for the number 2 best Zelda game of all time is Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. Originally released for the Game Boy console, and then later re-released for the Switch in a just out of the park, awesome remastered version. Link's Awakening, I don't know that it gets slept on, but it certainly hasn't been experienced, I would say, by as many people as some of the other games. And story-wise, it's incredible. It takes place in a dream, and it's just so good. It really kind of runs with the formula that was laid out in Link to the Past, but it does it differently, and the art direction's great because it was an 8-bit game made for the Game Boy, but it doesn't look like an 8-bit game. It just, the Zelda game that I beat the most is Link's Awakening. That was actually the first Zelda game that I owned, and I got to a point with that where I could clear it in a few hours. I just knew that game inside out when I was a kid. So, besides the nostalgia, though, it's just really fucking good. So my number 2 selection is Link's Awakening for the Game Boy. Johnny, back to you. What's your number 2?
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild. No surprise, considering that for a long time I've heard from you as your number 1.
Yeah. Breath of the Wild is just, I said earlier, I think it's the best open world game, and the reason why I say that is because this was like the first open world game where you really could go anywhere. There are no invisible barriers that you can't get over or walls that you can't climb. If there's a mountain that you can see and you have enough stamina potion, you can climb that bitch. And the endless exploration and the amount of secrets that are in that game. And I also thought it was really true to the original Legend of Zelda. The original Legend of Zelda is here's a sword, here's a big ass world, figure it the fuck out. There is no, yes, there's a first dungeon, but it doesn't tell you where the first dungeon is. It doesn't hold your hand in any way, shape, or form. The original Legend of Zelda just drops you on a map and says, figure it out. And I liked that Breath of the Wild sort of did that, and that you could do the game in any order that you want. And you can fire up the game, walk straight to Ganon, and fight him if you want to. And I think that's incredibly crazy game design to give that much independence and that much to do in a game. Like my youngest, he's beaten Breath of the Wild like 15 times. It's his favorite game. He beats it over and over and over again. It drives me nuts that he hasn't done all the temples. I'm like, dude, just do them all. You've done everything else that can be done in the game. Why would you not just go do all the temples? He's like, I don't know. I think I'll just beat it again on Master Mode. And then I was like, well, Tears of the Kingdom's coming out soon. You don't even have the motorcycle yet. He's like, motorcycle? I'm like, yeah, you got to do the whole DLC thing and get the motorcycle. And he's like, all right. 3 days later, he's got the motorcycle. But I just can't get him to do the temples. But that's what's cool about it is he doesn't have to. He's not required to. He doesn't have to tick those check boxes to beat the game. You really can do what you want to do in Breath of the Wild. And I think with the rabid YouTube community and modders and the amount of people that are, I beat this game. There's a guy who beat the entire game without climbing once. Didn't climb anything, beat the game. There's also people who beat the game with nothing but a stick and 3 hearts. I mean, this is a endlessly replayable game. It is a massive open world game that can be whatever you want it to be. And yeah, I mean, it just shows that Nintendo is still the kings of what they do, and I'm incredibly excited to play Tears of the Kingdom to see how they expand upon what they built with Breath of the Wild.
On for my number 3. Again, I have to reiterate that these are the ones that I think are the best, not necessarily my personal favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 is The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Wind Waker is a very, I don't want to say underrated, because I think everyone who plays it appreciates it greatly. So maybe the right word to use is, I think Wind Waker is a very misunderstood game. I remember when it came out that a lot of people had an issue with the visual style of that era of Zelda. But I don't think anyone who played it had an issue with the style. I mean, that whole generation was a shift in how everything looked. It wasn't just Wind Waker, it was also the Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks that had that style to it. But Wind Waker is outrageously huge. I mean, this game is fucking crazy big. And it's really good. It was very well done. I love the whole premise that it was the first game to show that it was embracing the idea of coherence between all the Zelda games, because it just outright says it, that there's Links and Zeldas and Ganons that occurred in previous points in time, and that they are basically the human representations of the 3 pieces of the Triforce. I mean, this game fucking lays it all out for the first time and does something that really kind of set the precedence for the rest of the Zelda games that we have, having a cohesive story, and understanding the relevance of time that was established in Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and A Link to the Past. So I feel like it gets slept on a lot. I mean, there's definitely it's tough to give 3 best Zelda games, but I'd have to say Wind Waker because of what it did for the whole series. It feels rough not giving my number 3 slot to Twilight Princess here, but which maybe if I was less biased to Link's Awakening, I would be able to. But Wind Waker has to come in here for me. So that's my number 3.
My number 3 is going to be a total curveball that you mentioned earlier. You were not alive when it came out. I was, and I remember the mind-blowing moment when I went over to my friend's house. I had a neighbor that lived about 10 houses up across the street, and he said, "Hey, I got the new Nintendo. You should come check this out." And I played Zelda for the first time. And this was a game that a lot of people don't realize that back in the day, you couldn't save your game. Your version of saving your game was grabbing a scrap of paper and scribbling down a string of digits. That was your save game. So if you wanted to continue your game in Metroid, you either had to leave the console off, turn the TV off, and hope that no one noticed that you left the Nintendo on while you were at school. That was option number 1. Option number 2 was write down a bunch of digits on a sheet of paper. I could be wrong here, but I think the original Legend of Zelda, that golden cartridge, was the first video game that had a battery on it that allowed you to save your game.
It was either the first or one of the first. I don't think
Right.
it was the first, but it was around that time.
So the fact that I could go over to my buddy's house and put in my initials and then go back to his house 3-4 days later and load that game and continue back where I was. And also being around when this game was out, the amount of secrets that are in that world, the amount of little spots where if you put a bomb here, there's a secret passage, and you can get that shield if you get here and get that, and then you go here and you do this. And between me and my schoolmates, when this game was this was like the coolest fucking video game that had ever existed. Like, it was done. It was done. When Legend of Zelda came out, there were no other video games that we wanted to fucking talk about. That was it. Until Mario Brothers 3 came out, Legend of Zelda was the fucking video game. And so I gotta give it to the OG because I was here when it came out. It blew my mind when it came out. It led to me begging for a Nintendo because I wanted Zelda. I didn't really, sure, there were other games I played on the console, but make no mistake, Zelda, true to the current age, Zelda moves consoles. I saw that game and I needed a Nintendo, and it was as simple as that. And that's still incredible, the amount of video game that they crammed onto that cartridge. There's 8 dungeons, 9 dungeons,
8.
And there's
Yep.
there's secrets everywhere, and there's so much to do. And I remember my tattered Nintendo Power magazine that had the map in it, the big spread out. I think it actually folded out to 4 pages.
If you didn't have that, there was a dungeon you would never find.
That's true. Yep, that's true. But no, this was a fucking earthquake in the video game world when it came out, because I have basically always been a gamer. I mean, I had a Commodore 64 when I was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old. I was playing games on that. My parents had a ColecoVision. My parents had an Atari. All of those things were fine and dandy. But then when I saw Zelda, that was like, my life was changed forever when I saw that game. Period.
I can say the same thing. It was Link to the Past. It was my neighbor who had it. And all
Yeah.
I had was a fucking Game Boy. So when they released the Zelda game for Game Boy, that was my first one. And then shortly thereafter, I forget how I earned the money to buy my own Super Nintendo, but I did. So life was good. Ladies and gentlemen, the new game is out on the 12th. That is this Friday.
So excited.
So hold on to your Pegasus boots and get ready to jump as though you're holding a rock feather for joy. New Zelda game. Hopefully it's good. I don't care. I'm getting my copy is showing up day one and has the nifty art thing. And even if it's not good, I won't care. But I have a feeling it will be.
I think it's going to be great.
Indeed. Kind of hard to use the framework of one of the greatest games of all time and fuck it up. So hopefully that's not famous last words. We'll give a little.
Well, and the other thing is, like I think the common critique with this game, and this was one of your main critiques, is like, yeah, but it looks like DLC. It's the same map. It's it's just an expansion of Breath of the Wild. Dude, they've been working on this game for so fucking long. There's no way that that's all that it is. This game is going to blow our minds when it comes out. I'm calling it right now. It is not going to feel like an expansion. You're going to be like, holy shit, there's so much to do.
That's valid. I think it's going to be a similar feeling between Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, where it's like the wheel hasn't been completely reinvented, but it's different enough that it's cool.
Yep.
And some people would fillet us for not saying Majora's Mask is one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, I never got down with that one.
Yeah.
I'm in that camp of I never fell in love with that game.
Yeah, there's a few games that in the series that I almost never hear get brought up, even though they're fucking excellent. Link Between Worlds is like the one that blows my mind that it just never got the credit it was due. Like, have you played Link Between Worlds?
Nope.
So Link to the Past is like, when we're talking about my favorite, that's like number one, because that's my childhood. That's all the nostalgia, all that.
Yeah.
If you feel that way about Link to the Past, or it's close to the top, Link Between Worlds is the direct sequel to A Link to the Past.
Okay.
Like, you must, if you've been like, man, I haven't played a really good game I wasn't expecting in a while, Link Between fucking Worlds is that game. I don't know how well that DS game runs on an emulator, and I think that's why a lot of people have slept on it, is because of the hardware that you need to play it.
DS games run great on emulator. I beat was it Zero Mission?
No, it was Samus Returns.
Samus Returns. Yeah, on DS was fine.
Yeah, but
on emulation,
I think it depends on the game, because if it was like Phantom Hourglass, where it's all stylus movements,
right,
that might be a little rough.
Yeah, probably.
Who knows? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. It is episode 116 of Your Power Gamer podcast. I have got my first surprise pulled on Johnny. And
yeah, I didn't see that coming.
Now it is time for our first segment, which is what we've been playing this week. Johnny, I'll get us started, because in a strange turn of events, I don't have as much to say as you might this week.
Okay.
Which does feel odd, but
a little odd.
I don't have a whole bunch more to say about Jedi Survivor. I did play a little bit more, but my time was spent elsewhere this week, which feels bad because it's a brand new game that I should be really excited for, and I just kind of got pulled away from it, except for a few hours. So I've made it to the second world in Jedi Survivor, and that is where I remain. I know you'll probably have more to say on it here in a little bit. We'll get through my other not much to say. WRC Generations, a game that none of you care about.
Facts.
I played more of. So eat that, motherfuckers.
Whoa.
Oh.
Whoa.
That's right. WRC Generations. I played it. And it's race cars from the WRC, which is a European league of racing that none of you care about. So Harvestella, I'm still playing, still working my way through it. I will make inroads on Harvestella this week because I'm traveling. And when I travel, all you Steam Deck zealots, I say nay. I shall go bearing my Switch and my, how did Megan put it? My big tittied anime girls as we farm crops and save the world from threats in this time and others.
Yeah, you told me my wife might like that game, so I showed her the trailer, and she was like, "Nope."
She would fucking love this game.
The big tittied anime girls just ruined it for her. She saw them and said, "No, I'm not interested."
That's fine. I mean, they do have very large boobs in
Yeah,
this game.
no, she's
Yeah.
that she was out. She clocked out on that one.
And booties. And what's funny is the males have the same figure from the waist down as the women. They didn't like bother. All they did when they made the male model was just get rid of the boobs.
So they got big jiggly booties.
these,
All the dudes
all
are
these
just
dudes
fucking
have these
just recoiling all over the place.
fat asses. You're like, God damn.
Woo! Like, damn, man, Steve is fucking caked the fuck up. Woo!
Instead of turnip on that. Jesus Christ. Harvestella, ladies and gentlemen.
That's so funny.
Harvestella is the Dark Souls of farm games. So that sounds like a appealing combination. There's going to be so much to talk about when I've actually finished that game. The challenge well, quietest, the giant fucking mindfuck twist that happens at the halfway point of the game where you're not just growing crops, you're fighting time. It had this moment in this game. Like, sometimes I just like to give random snippets of these Japanese games to like completely fuck with people, even if they're mildly spoilerish. So in this game, I went from growing crops in my nice little cozy riverside house, you know, doing some standard save the person in the woods mission, to walking around a post-apocalyptic amusement park in the future that looked like it was right out of Silent Hill fucking 3 with mutants trying to kill me. Harvestella. Then
this is Live Alive all over again.
it's so worse. It's so worse.
It's worse?
It's so worse than Live Alive.
God.
Yeah. It's way worse than Live Alive. Marvel Snap, I've played an absolutely obnoxious amount of this past week. We're talking close to probably 10 to 12 hours this past week. I have a Lockjaw deck and a Control Sarah deck that I've just been fucking annihilating everyone with. And I think perhaps, unless you've put some work in since I last saw you online, I might actually be at a higher level than Johnny right now.
You are. If you're at 65, yeah, you got me beat.
66.
Yep, you got me beat.
So absolutely crushing right now. Sarah Control is so good in this current special space. The one that doubles or distributes your power to all the other squares. Yep. All I do is turn 6, just go, oh, here's Scarlet Witch. Have fun.
Yep.
Bye. Yep. 8 cubes. Just cha-ching, cha-ching, over and over again. It's fantastic. Or now I'm seeing everybody try to counter the space with Storm. So you let them play their Storm and then just go, nope. Here's Witch. Yep. Nope. That space is now something fucking terrible for you. Have fun. Love Marvel Snap, man. The game's so good.
So great.
Johnny, that wraps up what I've been playing this week.
No, it doesn't. You missed one. You skipped one on your list there, bud.
Oh, I did. A big one. An important one.
Uh-huh. You did.
Thanks for catching that. I guess I would have come back around and been like, something feels off. How could I forget Redfall? The calamity that has been plaguing the internet all fucking week. I guess we do have a lot to talk about here on my side of things.
Dude, internet's acting like this game is literal cancer. It's ridiculous.
Literal cancer. All right. Let's say a few things about the game that make sense. Objectively, it is unacceptable. And that's why I don't have an issue with people completely trashing it in their reviews, giving it like 4s, 3, 2. There's no fair way to score this game because it's a complete pile of fucking trash. So let's get that just out of the way first.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it a complete fucking pile of trash? Well, it's not because it's not fun. I would still recommend people play this game. And say that
On Game Pass. Don't go drop your $70.
everyone's wallet's different. $70 is nothing
Yeah,
to some
sure.
people. So I don't care. I mean, if you want a good co-op game to play with your friend that you're gonna have fun with, that's what I'm doing as soon as I get done recording this podcast. Is I'm gonna play Redfall with Mandy. You may already be able to tell that there's conflicting points of view that I have on this game. It is fun to play. I like the game itself. That being said, the game is a pile of shit. So this is kind of a tough thing to navigate here, because what's more important to you as a gamer? So yes, it runs at an abysmal, nauseating 30 frames per second on Xbox. Johnny, as you'll remember, with games like Dying Light in the past, I have a real hard time with 30 frames. It actually makes me sick when I'm trying to play a 30 frames game from the first person viewpoint.
Yep.
So I've played it there, and it took me about 20 minutes, but it was like good enough that it wasn't making me ill. It just felt sloggy. It just felt like an early PS4 game, basically.
Right.
Brought it over to my PC, and the frame rate, great. But the game does still look like ass. So, and I don't mean it just like, I like Arcane's art style. I'm very familiar with their work. I've played the Dishonored games. I've played Deathloop. I've fooled around in Prey. Like, I know Arcane games well, the good ones. And this borrows the art style, but just lacks the fidelity. It's not very clean. It's not very polished for an Arcane game.
Right.
Which just tells me that it didn't cook long enough, or they were behind, or something went wrong. The thing in the game that is, for some, going to be too frustrating to overlook, or for others, absolutely hilarious, and you will like the game. And I really think this is the main dividing point, is how fucking bad the AI is in this game. Holy shit, is it bad. It's comical how bad the AI is. So if you want a challenge, or to feel like there's something to do other than point your gun at things and watch everything in front of you die, well, you're not really going to get that from Redfall, because the AI is fucking the worst I've ever seen in a game ever. Not exaggerating. Like, it's literally the worst AI that I've ever seen in a first person shooter ever. And I mean, I'm going back to like the AI in fucking GoldenEye is better.
Oh.
Okay, and that's not an exaggeration.
Ugh. Gross.
And they do the same shit. You know, like, you'll shoot the one guy, they'll die, and then the other person with no urgency will turn around, get in position, and then start shooting. Or everything's dead by the time it has a chance to respond. It's AI that is worse than the AI in GoldenEye. Literally.
Wow.
And the same goes for the vampires in the game too. Now, the part that's really mind rattling with this for me is, how did that happen? You know, it's not like they never made enemy AI in a first person shooter again.
Right.
Before. 2 years ago, everyone's calling Deathloop the God's gift to video games, that it's like the best video game ever made. I grab it and play it, and it's fucking brilliant. The AI is spooky good in that game. You know, you're having to stealth, and if you alert someone, you know, in Redfall, with no silencer on your gun, you can blow someone's brains out, and none of the other enemies will even react. It's like, oh, that's nothing to see.
That's so weird.
And the vampires, they just teleport around and then get right in front of you and stand kind of still, like as if to say, okay, this is when you just shoot me. And then the only attack they have is like this swiping attack that you just step back from, and they miss. Not to mention they give you stake launchers that like kill any of the vampires in 2 shots. So like Johnny would hate this shit. Me,
Sounds like it.
I like that kind of thing. I'm just running through. I'm like, oh, we're just doing all the missions and just mowing everyone down, and this is kind of relaxing. We can talk about whatever while we're playing, and it's a pretty world, and great. There's no sweaty hands in this game at all. In terms of its functionality, yeah, I've seen like some of the weird like floating glitches and stuff. The game's only crashed on me 1 time, so it's not like it's the most broken piece of shit on the planet. I don't really get people giving it hell for that. Is there clipping and stuff and the performance is unacceptable on Series X? Yes. Is this game not what Microsoft wanted out of their first party release on their flagship console in the middle
Your ass.
of one of the most heated console wars ever that they're getting their absolute dicks kicked in on? Yeah. Yeah, no, this one wasn't good. But they've put themselves in this fucking corner where they had to release it. And that's what you all got. Is they had to release this game. Can you imagine if Microsoft delayed Redfall again after putting out nothing last year? They couldn't do it. So it was damned if you do, fucked if you don't. And yeah, they bit the bullet and put this thing out. So the pressure on Starfield is insurmountable.
Oof. Yep.
And Bethesda does not have the lovey track record that Arcane has. So Xbox fanboys, you might want to start having that agnostic approach that we advertise here on the Power Gamer podcast. Because
Yep.
it ain't like 2001. Johnny, that's what I've been playing this week. What about you?
I finally have rolled credits on Hogwarts Legacy. Woohoo!
Hallelujah.
This is a big old game, and if you like open world RPG, choose your own adventure, epic side quests galore, tons of shit to do, there's so much to do in this game. And the crazy thing is, I rolled credits, and I honestly don't think I'm really done with it. I think I might actually platinum this game.
You are playing it on PS5, then. That answered that.
Yeah, I'm playing on PS5. I'm tempted to platinum this thing. I am. I'm tempted to. I've done so much on the world map that when I look at it, I go, this is doable. This is doable. Unlike Assassin's Creed Valhalla, where you look at the map and you're like, bro, this shit'll take me 400 hours. I'm not doing that. But like Hogwarts, I feel like if I plugged another 10, 12 hours into it, I could probably do everything, every side quest, every little thing on the map. And I've raved enough about it. I want to say definitively that this is going to be in my list for game of the year, unless we have a really crazy last half of the year. It's really, really exciting to play a brand new game and a brand new franchise where when the credits roll, you go, cool, the next one I'm in. And we haven't had that from a new franchise in a while. We don't get that very often. I mean, and this did feel like, rolling credits on Assassin's Creed. It's like, cool, I'm down for another one. And I think that the fact that this game takes place in its own time period where there's not a whole lot within the canon that they need to really worry about bumping into, I think they should stick to that. And I think rather than the next game being a direct sequel, I think it should take place in a different time period with a different set of characters. And I think they should go the Assassin's Creed route with this line of games. I think every game should be kind of a different spot, a different story, a different threat, different whatever's going on. But no, this is an amazing franchise, and it's breaking records in sales, and it's really really fucking good. And um, I know she's a side character, but Serona, the transgender woman, is one of the biggest badasses in the entire game, and I don't think she gets enough credit for how much of a badass she is. And it kind of ticks me off that they shrug that off as a nothing burger when I don't think that's a nothing burger. Also got a chance to play a little bit of The Last Case of Benedict Fox.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
What?
Johnny.
Am I skipping too fast?
Jesus Christ, man. What's the score?
9.
Now, I have it. I try to keep track for both of us because I'm more diligent at databases and things of that nature. It's why I was a good employee of Johnny's in the past. I try and keep everything organized here. Johnny, am I correct or mistaken that prior to Hogwarts Legacy, that the last game you beat this year was Atomic Heart?
That is correct.
Okay. So I have our list right.
I think so.
You beat God of War Ragnarok, yes. Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghostwire Tokyo, Ancient Gods Part 1, Tiny Tina's Atomic Heart, and Hogwarts.
I'd have to look through it, but that's
a pretty meaty list.
It's some big shit.
Yeah. Tiny Tina's is a solid 30 hours. God of War Ragnarok, 30. Final Fantasy VII was carryover from last year.
That was a lot too. That was probably 60.
Mm-hmm. Not too shabby. Okay. Yes. Last Case of Benedict Fox has been getting its nuts railed off in the review cycle. I had less than pleasant things to say about it last week. How did you feel about Last Case of Benedict Fox?
I agreed with a lot of what you said. The opening of the game, the introduction of the game is messy at best and just utterly confusing at worst. It doesn't explain why you're there, what you're doing, why there's a demon inhabiting you that's guiding your path, why there's a dead body in the basement, or what you're doing there to investigate it. You're just there doing stuff. And then the first boss fight wasn't really a lot of explanation as to what the fuck to do. So I just kind of what the fuck did a half dozen times until I figured it out. Yeah, I mean, I love Metroidvania games, and you and I both saw this trailer, and we're both like, oh my god, this game looks incredible. It's not looking like what we thought it was going to be. I'm not quite done with it yet. I do feel like I want to jump back in and give it another chance, similar to what your experience was with it. But first impressions, not great.
Yeah, no, it's and it's still a mess over on Metacritic because no one's really reviewing it. So I don't know what we need to do with that. That's something I never expected. It's just,
I mean, it's got a score.
yeah, it's complete. It's from 4 names that you're super familiar with: Gaming Bolt, Xbox Era, everyi.it, and gamer.no.
Right.
So it's weird. I don't know what to do with it. I mean, I actually think the 69 meta score it's currently has is higher than it should be. So
yeah,
well,
and then what's weird is like when you go to these other websites, like other places have reviewed it.
Yeah, it's just,
I mean, IGN reviewed it.
Yeah, it's just,
why is that not listed?
I guess we just got to let it sit for a while.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, they threw the
IGN gave it a 6.
They threw the IGN on the PC side, but then IGN is the only name really over there. It's IGN and PC Gamer, and that's it.
But no, I mean it's a shame because the art style is really fucking cool. I mean, really, really,
We were
really
both
cool.
sold on it
And
very hard from the trailers, and then it just turned out to kind of be a piece of shit.
100%.
Yeah, I'm not ever going back to it.
I think I will.
I just don't have time for it. It's not.
I think I will.
Yeah, I think you have the patience for it. I do not. I've got too much to do.
Right. And last on my list, finally, Jedi Survivor is in my hot little hands. I'm just gonna go ahead and drop this bomb real quick. I think all of the other games have been dethroned. I think this is the best looking PS5 game I've ever seen. Holy shit, are these graphics insane? The fidelity in this game is fucking nuts. This game is gorgeous. The lighting, the particle effects, the fog, the dust, the smoke, dude, this game looks absolutely incredible. I'm blown away by the presentation of this game. I do have a small gripe. And this is one that I didn't have with the last one. And that is breadcrumbs as to where I'm supposed to go next. I am only, I don't know, maybe 2 hours in.
Turn them on.
I did. You have to go into the map to see where you might need to go. What I mean is there's no on-screen indicator. There's no... So, like, there's already been 5 or 6 times in that short 2-hour stint with the game where I go, okay, now where the fuck do I go? I can't jump across that. I can't make it to this. I can't jump up to there. Can't go there. The fuck do I go? All right, let me backtrack. No, can't go up that. Can't jump up there. Like, I end up guessing to try to figure out where the fuck I'm supposed to go. And this is something that games like Uncharted, they just have it fucking razor tight. You never really have a question of where you're supposed to go next.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to invalidate anything that Johnny just said, but I will put a giant asterisk behind that entire statement.
Sure.
Number one, if you turn on the tips in the map, which he says he did, I believe him.
Mm-hmm.
It very clearly shows you the next spot you need to go to. I never had any kind of issue like he's describing. And 2, it's incredible that they give you tips at all to begin with because it's Souls-like. But they basically hold your hand and show you where to go. So, difference of opinion, I think mine's going to be the one that is much more commonly felt with that. So, I would say maybe don't get turned off by what Johnny just said.
I like a dot on the screen. Is that too much to ask?
Yeah. I don't want that bullshit on the screen. Honestly, like when I'm playing,
I like a dot on the screen.
When I'm playing a Soul style game, you know, what did Elden Ring do? Here's a light and it's veering in that direction. Okay, I'm just gonna walk that way. And my kind of take with Jedi Survivor is, and I go into these games with the mindset of I'm gonna find every fucking collectible in the game. So I'm using the map to see where the next place I need to go is, so I don't go there until I've checked every other avenue. So we're probably just playing the game completely different because I'm trying to hit all the places you're not supposed to go before.
Yeah, no, I just want to organically enjoy the game. And again, there's been 4 or 5 times where I'm like, I don't know where the fuck I'm supposed to go. Do I jump on that? Do I jump over there? Do I go to this? And then I pull up the map and go, oh, this is a dead end. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. So it's working for you as it should.
It's just, again, it's a super fucking minor gripe. Super minor gripe. But that is the only really gripe I have. The combat's great. So far, the story's really good. I love me some Cal Kestis, so I am excited for another adventure with my dude. And yeah, I'm pumped to play this game. And I'm gonna try to fucking power through it. I don't know how long this game is. I haven't looked.
It's like 25 hours.
Shit, I'm not gonna get through it this week before Zelda. Then, god damn it.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw Zelda on the same shelf as fucking everything else. I get to it when I get to it. I'm not in any hurry.
Yep, fair enough. But no, Hogwarts is down, and now it's time to get down on some other games.
So much coming out. We have a little bit of a breather after Zelda, thankfully. Ladies and gentlemen, Hogwarts Legacy. I thought we were, other than you still playing it, I thought we were basically done talking about it. But that is not the case. Oh no, this is actually very worth sharing. Hogwarts Legacy has sold over 15 million copies. That's goddamn numbers, ladies and gentlemen. 15 million copies. These numbers are finally all starting to come out. So we had known that Hogwarts Legacy had sold 12 million copies in its first 2 weeks, following its release on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. But it has just gone on to sell and sell and sell. And it is now a $1 billion game. And it's just absolutely crushing. And the, oh, but wait, there's more, is huge on this game. Because, oh, but wait, they're still releasing this thing on the Switch.
That's exactly what I was going to say. How many copies have they sold on Switch? 0.
Yeah, this is going to be bonkers, everyone. I think this is going to be a 20 million plus copy game, putting it with the likes of,
Grand Theft Autos.
Well, no, that's Grand Theft Auto is a different league, but yeah. God of War, or Last of Us, like the first Last of Us game, things. So juggernauts, but not. Yeah, nothing's going to tickle old GTA 5 or anything like that. That would be super nuts. But Hogwarts Legacy, so we're over 15 million copies. It's only been out for 3 months. This is huge, and it can't be mentioned without mentioning that this is a game that was widely protested. But when you're looking at numbers like this, 15 million copies, you kind of have to ask yourself, because that noise from the descent on this game, Johnny, it felt deafening how loud it was. Yeah. And I'm genuinely surprised to see how well this game is doing in wake of that noise. So how do you feel seeing this and seeing how it's doing?
I feel like 90% of the time when there's some internet outrage about something, and I'll go ahead and just make it political, if there's outrage on the left or there's outrage on the right, it's often a vocal minority that is screaming and shouting from the rooftops, right? For the amount of people that comment on the Twitter post of, if you play this game, you're transgender, and the amount of TikToks that people make saying, if you play this game, you're transgender, there are 94 other people that go, I just want to play the Wizard Pew Pew game. It looks fun. I like the movies. What's the big deal? And I think it's clear that this attempt to boycott the game was, an absolute failure. I mean, you don't pull those kind of numbers.
They didn't even dent it. Right. It's as if nothing happened.
Yep.
And I'd be remiss to not go a little further and say it's kind of interesting to think about, because we had the whole thing with Hogwarts. That was deafening. And Hogwarts hasn't been affected at all. And the folks that were upset about it were, I would say, mostly left-minded people. There wasn't Ben Shabubu wasn't upset about Hogwarts Legacy.
No.
The other side of the coin, recently there's been a lot of decries and boycotts over a product that has nothing to do with Hogwarts. And that's Bud Light beer. So Bud Light's been losing money hand over fist. I think their sales went down 25%. and they're giving away cases to their distributors and the store stocking it because they're all hurt. And that's definitely a more rightist thing. You know, people being upset that Dylan Mulvaney was on a Bud Light can that never existed.
Right.
You know, it was a bit for March Madness, and now heads are rolling over at Anheuser-Busch. And they're genuinely fucked right now from the response and people putting it to them with their wallets. So it gives pause to think that, and just think how few people give a fuck about what beer you drink, right? Nobody gives a fuck. Bud Light, Coors Light, who cares? It all tastes like fucking trash anyways.
Yep.
But genuinely, a boycott has broke out on that product, and it's fucking that company over. And they're backstepping and apologizing and desperate to do anything to get people's money back. And then on the side of Hogwarts, you have something that was very loudly, almost preposterously spoken about, and nothing happened. So I'm kind of curious as to what the fuck, honestly, is the problem that, you know, as Johnny stated many, many times, he wanted to play a Hogwarts game, you know, and what was happening behind it really didn't have anything to do with him or anyone else, honestly.
No.
You know, and JK, she's an asshole on Twitter, but really beyond that, that she wrote some books a while ago, and she makes money off the IP. Like, there's not really a whole lot you can do about it. So I guess the part that's confusing to me is, how can people band together and fuck over a beer in a couple of weeks? You know, this has been going on for what, 2 months now, and they're still fucking hurting, versus Hogwarts, and they made over $1 billion. Kind of makes you have to stop and think, you know, what's being amplified on the internet, what messages these sites want you to see, want you to feel are relevant. Because for Christ's sake, man, anytime Johnny said he was going to play this game for months, you felt like there was this army of people that was going to be like, you're a fucking bigot, Johnny. It's like, no, I just want to play a video game. But then the other side of the coin is, now there's this whole other thing where it's like, man, if you drink this beer, you're a piece of shit. It's like, can everybody just shut the fuck up?
Yeah, just let people do whatever the fuck they're going to do. I mean, I'll go back to my analogy that I used in one of our earlier Hogwarts conversations. It is your job and your wallet to make the decision as to whether or not you are going to eat the Chick-fil-A sandwich.
Yeah.
I am going to eat the Chick-fil-A sandwich. Doesn't mean that I support, them helping Trump campaign. It doesn't mean I support them in fighting Planned Parenthood. I don't. But God damn it, it's a good chicken sandwich. And it's right there, and it's convenient, and their drive-thru is polite, and they always get my order right. And so, you know what? I'm going to eat the chicken sandwich. And it's the same thing with the Hogwarts thing. I may think that J.K. Rowling is a piece of shit. In fact, I do think that J.K. Rowling is a piece of shit. But the game looks fun. I want to play a fun video game. It really is as simple as that. And then the point that you made in our previous conversation is, EA has stakes in Saudi Arabia. They behead LGBT people. Riot Games is owned by the Chinese government. Oh, yeah. They're committing literal genocide as we speak. So where do you draw the line?
People always ignore the actual issues that matter. Like, that's a sort of a given.
But the electronics on my phone, built with child labor. Like, where do we draw the fucking line?
Right.
Because if you're going to really have that moral high ground, you gotta drive north of us. You gotta join the Amish because that's the only fucking option you've
Well,
got.
it's the same thing with the beer. The thing I was kind of crossing into this. It's like, wow, that's where we put our foots down, or put our foots down. Put our feet down is some transgender social media figure being on a can that was never put in a store. That's where we gotta get outraged. It's like, how about we get fucking outraged over, I don't know, people not having health care? Oh, there's some woman in England that made this game that said some shit I don't like. Let's care about that. How about we care about fucking healthcare? You know, it's hilarious too. You see the results that I guess we got to call the kettle black, don't we? That conservatives are getting with the beer. You know, they're getting results because they have fucking money. They're not spending it. It's like, God damn, you get snippets of what would be possible if people actually paid attention to shit that matters. But I digress. We're getting way off the tracks here. Hogwarts Legacy, 15 million in sales. Some of people will be really upset about that, and some people just won't care. So good on you, Hogwarts. You made money.
I'm looking forward to the next one. I'm looking forward to the DLC, and I'm looking forward to platinuming this game. It's fucking great. It's a great game.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to check it out at this point because
I think you do.
It's up there. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, this is your last chance to get a bunch of free games on your PlayStation if you haven't yet. That's right. The PlayStation Collection goes away. This is your final reminder. Okay, if you're listening to this episode on release date, which is Monday the 8th, you have today to go take care of this. All these games stop being free on Tuesday, May 9th. So if you have a PlayStation and you haven't gone to the PlayStation Collection yet, you need to do so. You will get Batman, Arkham Knight, Battlefield 1, Bloodborne, Call of Duty Black Ops 3 Zombie Chronicles, Crash Bandicoot's Insane Trilogy, Days Gone, Detroit Become Human, Fallout 4, Final Fantasy 15, God of War, Infamous Second Son, Monster Hunter World, Mortal Kombat X, Ratchet and Clank, Resident Evil 7, The Last Guardian, The Last of Us, Uncharted 4, and Until Dawn for free. And you don't have to download all these games. Oh no, you just go in and click add to library and they are yours.
Add to library.
But if you don't do it now, come Tuesday morning, you will be a sad panda. And nobody wants that.
Don't be a sad panda, guys. Don't do it.
Finally, Johnny, it's time for our final segment of the week. One that you have been anticipating for days. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for One Up. Now, we have a special One Up for you this week because we both have the same thing to talk about. And I would suggest, ladies and gentlemen, that you bid us farewell at this point. If you have not seen Guardians of the Galaxy Part 3.
Oh, we're going to do a spoiler discussion.
I don't really know how you can talk about the movie. I feel like saying anything about the movie is a spoiler, and I'd rather be super cautious than...
Okay, spoiler discussion it is. If you haven't seen it, come back and listen to this episode afterwards.
Just have a great time. Okay, you're in your car listening. Great. Hit that pause button real quick. Okay, this was your chance.
You've been warned.
Go ahead and just mute that real quick. We'll see you next week. For everyone still with us, Guardians of the Galaxy. Johnny, how do you feel about this movie?
I thought it was the best MCU movie since Spider-Man No Way Home. MCU has had a couple stumbles lately. Multiverse of Madness was okay. Thor Love and Thunder was bad. Like, actually bad. This movie was really good. I liked it better than the second Guardians of the Galaxy. It was a lot darker than I was expecting it to be. I liked that it sort of was self-contained. It wasn't trying to set up 12 other storylines. And I thought it was a nice farewell to the Guardians of the Galaxy team as we know them. As several of these actors have said, they're done with that role. Who knows if when Secret Wars comes that we get recasts of some of these people, it wouldn't surprise me, but time will tell. I really, really, really liked this movie quite a lot.
So in less words, because I don't have as many Marvel movies to compare it to. Just rating it on its own, within the James Gunn trilogy, because he sort of has his own thing going on with the Guardians, Volume 1, 2, and 3. It's
Very much
unfortunate
so.
that some major things affect it from other films, that it's really not a standalone trilogy. Um, I digress. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is a little bit of a mixed bag for me. I mean, overall, I thought the movie was okay. Um, it is the worst of the three movies, easily. Volume 1 and 2 absolutely fucking kick this movie's dick in. Um, this movie spends a lot of time playing gotcha. And ironically, I wasn't expecting 90% of the movie to be a gotcha where they removed one of the most critical characters from the film, in all ways other than giving us flashbacks into this character's past, and that would be Rocket Raccoon. Um, this game finally answers what happened to Rocket Raccoon that was so fucked up. And the problem is what happened to Rocket Raccoon was really fucked up. And those scenes aren't good. You just see some fucking asshole being mean to cute cuddly animals, basically. And it's like we kind of already understood that that's what happened. We didn't
Yeah.
need fucking 45 minutes of that to get a better understanding. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 um felt like it wasted its own time for 2 hours, and then realized at the 2 hour mark that, oh shit, we've been wasting the past 2 hours. We need to pick it up and get this thing going. That's kind of how this movie felt. So I think of the three Guardians movies, it's hands down the worst. Um, I thought High Evolutionary was a fucking challenging character to base an entire movie around. Because he was boring, he was bad, and then the fight with him at the end, it's like, oh look, I have gravity boots. Dead. It was like the most anticlimactic bullshit ever. Um,
Man, you and I feel completely differently
well,
about this movie.
tell me I'm wrong. I mean, all he did was he
I
got thrown around for 30 seconds and then said, "Oh, gravity boots. Your whole thing is messing with gravity, and now you can't." One shot. Okay, we're done. We're done here. It's like the fuck. All they had to do was just, and the dude's ship is blowing up for like 30 minutes.
that's true.
It was fucking dumb, dude. Like
That's true.
and you know and they kept doing the, oh, so and so is about to die. Oh, here's how they don't die. Oh, this one's about to die. We're gonna fuck with you. Oh no, we're just fucking with you. No. It was like one of those things where it's like, uh, what's the movie? Wayne's World, where they like do the gotcha with the bad ending and then they show you the good ending. That's not the movie you want to be compared to, ladies and gentlemen. And it did that like no bullshit 5 times.
I liked the payoff at the end. I liked Drax finally dancing. He's had multiple conversations about why he doesn't dance and his wife never danced, and then he finally gives in and caves at the end. That was awesome. I liked that. You're setting this expectation that Gamora and Quill are going to get back together, and they make pretty clear early on in the film that she's not that person that Quill thinks she is, and she's never going to be that person. And he finally accepts that, and then they have common ground and get along, and everything's fine there. I liked what they did with the characters. I like how they wrapped up the characters. I thought it was better than Volume 2, personally. I do think the emotional punch at the end of Volume 2 hits harder than anything in this movie with Yondu. But other than that, I liked Volume 3 more than 2.
Yeah, so...
And not by a lot. Not by a lot. It didn't, blow it out of the water. I think it's no question the first one is easily the best film out of the 3. It's not even fucking close.
No, it's really not.
But I did like 3 better than 2.
Yeah, 2 just felt more cohesive. Here's a problem. Here's us trying to solve it. Here's a twist, and here's us overcoming it. Here's the sad thing at the end. Credits. I thought 2 was actually quite good. So, when I think 3 could be fresh on the mind, but when I really sit and watch, I don't ever want to see this movie again. Well, I know with you have to.
I'm not there.
Well, you're not there with anything from Marvel, really. I mean, you watched them all.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
You watched how many times? That's
Twice.
More than once, and it's terrible.
I just needed to know if it was really that bad.
Yeah, I think this one is pretty bad. I mean, Adam Warlock's fucking intolerable.
That was my biggest gripe about the entire fucking movie is the decision that they made with Adam Warlock, where he's born out of his cocoon early, so he has the mental capacity of a fucking toddler.
When he serves
for anyone
no
that's
purpose, other
to anyone that is familiar with the comic books, Adam Warlock is Space Doctor Strange. Okay, if you have some shit going on in the spiritual realm or in the demonic realm, you go to Doctor Strange, because he's the motherfucker that knows what to do. If you have some shit going on a cosmic level, Adam Warlock is the guy that you go to. He knows fucking everything. And in this movie, he is a literal child with superpowers. His power level was kind of where it should be, but I hated the fact that he was a buffoon. Why on earth would you decide to make Adam Warlock a fucking literal buffoon?
And Will Poulter is also not anywhere close to one of my favorite actors. I don't care for him. And sorry, Will Poulter, I don't know you personally. But you just have one of those faces that feels so punchable all the time. And
God damn.
Am I wrong? Whenever
I don't feel any way about him positive.
Whenever I saw him, I'm like, man, I don't personally want to punch him in the face, but I'm like, that's a really punchable face. Every time I saw him, I felt that way since Chronicles of Narnia, that this kid just has an unfortunate face that makes me want to punch it. And his portrayal of Adam Warlock actually just exponentially made me want to punch that face even more.
So bad.
It's not
so
good.
bad.
So yeah, I didn't care for this movie. I thought it was bad. I thought the high points of the movie was Maria Bakalova. Her portrayal of Cosmo was the fucking best.
Yeah, Cosmo's awesome.
Cosmo is really good in this movie. Chris Pratt honestly didn't get nearly enough screen time. I don't know what the fuck. He is the star of these movies, and they barely let him do Peter Quill stuff. So, yeah, no, I don't think it was very good. It was basically the Mantis, Drax, and Nebula show, and Karen Gillan is very good at portraying Nebula, but not very interesting. And Dave Bautista, as much as I like him, and Uh, Palm, how do you say her last name? Clementieff?
Clementov, I think.
They do a good job with Drax and Mantis, but again, it's like all the side characters trying to carry the show, and like none of them have it. They're too like the one bit comedic relief, and it just didn't work. High Evolutionary was like the dumbest end boss, and I wish that we had more Sylvester Stallone. So my final takeaway of this movie is I'd give it like a 6.5 out of 10, which I'm really tough on movies. Like my bar for a 10 on a movie is fucking absurd.
I'd say 7.5.
Yeah, that's probably, we're probably around the same vein on it. It's not.
You said you never want to see it again, though. I'm definitely not.
Yeah,
there.
I don't. I mean, do you want to watch any of the scenes with Floor again? No, I don't want to watch any of those scenes ever again. I'm good. Like, let's free the cute bun and unfuck it up. You know, I'm good. The only thing I want to see again is the Cosmo scenes. Give me all the Cosmo scenes. I'm not a bad dog. Take it back.
Take it back.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Cosmo's the goodest dog.
Yes, and proved it at the end. Ladies and gentlemen, Johnny was worried again that we wouldn't make time on the show, and here we are.
I know, here we are at an hour
He
16.
doubts me. Ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this week's episode of the Power Gamer Podcast. We will, of course, be back again next week with another great episode for you to enjoy. Until that time, I'm Mike Dawson.
And I'm Johnny Paulus.
Tune in next time. Take care.
Catch you on the flip-flop.
Oh, yeah.